You can create the retirement you dream about when you successfully develop and maintain the right habits. Unfortunately, there are 3 common habits I see that are preventing people from having that comfortable retirement. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you what those 3 habits are and what you can do to avoid them. The first habit, maybe the most straightforward habit, is looking to cut the wrong expenses. So much about retirement, and not even just retirement, but our entire financial planning is about cash flow. How much income is coming in, and what are we then doing with that income in the form of expenses? So there are tons of expenses that we have, and sometimes we get focused to cutting the wrong ones. How often have you heard someone say, hey, make coffee at home as opposed to going to Starbucks to buy it? Well, this could be good advice for some people. Let's actually look at the numbers. So assume you go out and buy coffee and it costs you $5 when instead you can make it at home for 25 cents. Well, what that does is it saves you $4.75 a day. If we assume you do that 5 days a week, 4 weeks a year, that's $95 per month that you could have saved. Now, I'm not going to say that's a meaningless amount of money, but that's $95 per month. Let's take a look at another decision that could save you far more. What if you're going to purchase a home? And based upon your budget and what you think you can afford, you're looking at a $700,000 home, but you find something that you fall in love with, and it costs you $800,000. So you end up spending another $100,000 on that home. Well, if you look at the payment on that extra $100,000 of mortgage and the extra property taxes on the extra $100,000 of mortgage, that could very easily cost you another $800+ per month of mortgage payments that you're now making. Now you could justify this that you absolutely love that home, but that one simple decision costs you an extra $800+ per month for the next 30 years versus that coffee decision that you're making on a daily basis, saving you $95 per month. Or let's use another example. What if you lease or finance a car that's really probably out of your budget and you end up spending an extra $400, $500, $600 per month that you really don't have to spend? That's one single decision that you make that's now costing you for the next number of years, and it's maybe that single decision that should have been avoided as opposed to the little things that you're doing on a daily basis. So this isn't to say go buy the coffee and don't get the home and don't get the car, as much as it is to say, where are we placing our focus? What are the things that we should be focused on cutting in terms of expenses? And what are the things that maybe aren't all that significant in terms of long-term implications for our financial plan? So look at those big ticket purchases, that home, that car, that cost of education. Those single decisions that we make oftentimes have significantly more impact on our long-term retirement planning than do those daily decisions that might cost us $4 or $5 per day. Not saying one's good and one's bad, but make sure that we're focused on the right things when it comes to planning for our retirement. The second habit that holds so many people back from a comfortable retirement is working harder, not smarter. Now, you've all heard this before, so much so that it almost becomes cliche. But let's look at an example to illustrate this, and let's look at some practical areas that this shows up in retirement planning that too many people often overlook. Let's look at the example of Mike and Sarah. Mike works a lot of long, hard hours so he can save as much as possible for retirement. And what Mike does is he ends up saving $30,000 per year. The challenge is Mike is so busy working that he puts that $30,000 per year just into his savings account. So it just stays there in cash, really not earning anything. Now, Sarah works a good job, but she earns significantly less, and she's only putting away $6,000 per year for retirement. But Sarah, in this example, let's assume that she's investing that $6,000, whereas Mike is putting that money into cash. So while Mike's so busy working that he just puts his money in cash and accumulates there, Sarah, on the other hand, is putting that $6,000 per year into something that's growing at 10% per year, and let's assume they both do this for 40 years. Well, over that time period, Mike has put away $1.2 million. He saved a lot of money over that 40-year time period, while Sarah has only saved or only put away $240,000. Here's the difference. At the end of those 40 years, assuming Mike's money just went to cash earning nothing, his $1.2 million is still $1.2 million. Sarah, on the other hand, the $240,000 that she's put away has actually turned into $2.6 million. So that's an example of working harder, not smarter. Now, like I said, this can become very cliche. We've probably all seen those examples before. What are some actual examples of ways that we can apply this? Well, number one, right off the bat, what's your investment allocation? So many people work so hard putting money into 401ks and brokerage accounts and Roth IRAs, and that's great. You should work hard and put money into those accounts. But their allocation is completely off. Their allocation is what their 401k calculator at work told them they should be in. Or their allocation is what their brother-in-law told them they should be in. Or their allocation is too conservative because they still remember 2008 and how painful that was, so they're not getting growth in their portfolio. Well, how do you determine what that mix should be? How do you go through a good planning process so you can understand what should be conservative and what should be growth, and simply turning that dial? Doesn't have to even be turned that far. Turning that dial can have significant implications in terms of how much more or less growth you can expect to have on your portfolio. Or maybe it's the right social security strategy. especially if you're married. If you are married and you're coming up with a social security strategy, doing the right thing could put tens of thousands of dollars more in your pocket over the course of your retirement. Good strategy doesn't take that long to create. How does investing 30 minutes or 60 minutes or 90 minutes into determining what's correct potentially put several thousand more dollars in your pocket? That's a very good example of working smarter, not harder. Or the big one that I see all the time is, how does having the right tax strategy save you tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of your retirement? You've already done the hard work. You've already put money into IRAs and brokerage accounts and Roth IRAs. How can you then optimize that? How can the right tax strategy take all the hard work you've already applied and turn that into a significantly higher benefit? So this is an example of, yes, work hard to get to where you are, but now how can you start working smarter to make sure that you're maximizing everything that you've done? And then number 3, the third habit that prevents people from a comfortable retirement is not starting with the end in mind. How many of you can resonate with this? You think about retirement, you have a stereotype about retirement, so you have your head down, you're maxing a 401k, you're putting money away, you're paying down your mortgage, but you don't really know what you want retirement to look like. And because you don't really know what retirement to look like, you're not super clear on exactly how much you need to have saved, or how long you need to work, or what you need to do to even get there. What this leads to sometimes is this mindless toil of putting money away, working longer, doing the things you think you're supposed to, but you never actually arrive at where you think you're going to be. And you never actually arrive because you never put the time into thinking about, what is it that I actually want to do? How can I actually have some intention in terms of what I want my retirement to look like? Not just financially, but even what I want to do, who I want to be, what things I want to make sure I can engage in. The implications here is, if you don't do this, then your goal simply becomes a moving goalpost. Okay, I need $1 million. Okay, I've hit that. Well, now I need $1.5 million. Okay, well, I've hit that. Now I need $2 million. And it's this cycle that's going to continue until you develop the habit of having some intentionality. Now, this doesn't even need to be an intimidating exercise. None of us know exactly what we want that time to look like, but take some time. Sit down, journal your thoughts. You have a blank slate. What do you want retirement to look like? What do you want health to look like? What do you want relationships to look like? What do you want fun and leisure to look like? What do you want adventure to look like? What do you want giving to look like? Just start there. Start with what you think you want retirement to look like. And what you start to do, it's almost like you have this very foggy windshield, or you have a very dirty windshield. And every time you journal out thoughts, or every time you take action to try to become that type of person, it's like the windshield wiper taking a layer of that dirt off, and then another layer, and then another layer. It doesn't all come off at once. But the more you commit to that, your future starts becoming more and more clear. Before long, what you realize is, hey, I actually do have this picture of what I do want retirement to look like. It's no longer this vague, fuzzy thing I'm seeing through a dirty windshield. I've put the time and I've put the work in. And once you develop that, then your portfolio no longer becomes the goal. The goal is no longer to have an increasingly large portfolio. The goal is to say, how can I use my existing portfolio to start to fund what's actually most important to me? And at the end of the day, this is critical, because your vision for successful retirement should inform the way you invest, should inform the way you save, should inform your tax strategy, should inform every single thing you do from a financial standpoint. And until we have that vision there, you're kind of spinning your wheels in a lot of areas of your planning if you don't first take the time to be intentional about what are you planning for. So these are the 3 habits that I see holding people back from the comfortable retirement that they actually dream about. Once you've done the work of breaking through these bad habits, the next thing that you want to start to understand is, when is it time for me to stop saving for retirement? Once I'm focused on the right expenses, once I know that I'm working smarter, not just harder, once I have that clear picture for what I want my retirement to look like, well, the next step is to start understanding, when can I actually stop saving for that retirement? So I made this video that you'll see right here. And what this video walks you through is the fact that most people at some point continue saving for their retirement far longer than they should, which ends up costing them in terms of experiences or things they could be doing along the way. So be sure to check out that video where I walk you through when it makes sense for you to stop saving for your retirement. Once again, I'm James Knoll, founder of Root Financial, and if you're interested in seeing how we help our clients at Root Financial get the most out of life with their money, be sure to visit us at www.rootfinancialpartners.com.